introduction of this humble person, I must tell you, my dear Swami, out of sheer affection for me, forgot the best introduction that I have for myself. I try to be a very humble servant of our Divine Master, Sridharananda, the Holy Mother, and such. I feel proud to introduce myself as such, and I hope you do agree. Thank you. Today, the subject matter of this talk is very challenging. Challenging in this respect, you just heard the speech that was delivered by Swami, read out to you by a friend of ours. Can it be in any way improved? Is it not simple enough to be left alone and not to comment on it? Commentary will dilute it. But if we hear the words that uttered by the great Swami, that will be more than ample to fill ourselves up. But there is one process. That process is whatever Swamiji uttered on that particular day, firstly, was not his. Later on in private conversation, he did admit he did not know what he spoke. And he felt an unstoppable force was speaking through him. With that as a starting point, let us try to understand what is that force? What role does that force have to play in his life? And what is the impact that it has left behind? Because the subject matter says his talk and the effect on the world after his passing. He is no more alive physically. He is no more talking to you the way he spoke to us when he was contained in this human form. But he still has that force in him to penetrate our thoughts and saturate them with those eternal ideas and spiritual values. So without the slightest arrogance of trying to interpret upon it, trying to comment upon it, let us try to find out what is that force which made him speak so. Later on, many persons, very well qualified, very well adequate to comment upon his statement, his talk. The best that I could say is what Sister Nivedita had to say. He was supposed to represent, within quotes, Hinduism. What Hinduism meant. And after he has finished this small little address, she said, a new concept of Hinduism was born. The essence of Hinduism was put in a nutshell, as it were, the whole gamut of spiritual experience that this nation has gathered through millenniums together was put across on a platter, as it were, to the whole world to understand and to assimilate and accept. So let us first try to understand the tradition of true spirit of Hinduism was behind the experience that Swamiji obtained, experienced, and then produced in the simplest possible understandable language. The first idea is, if we look around, the whole gamut of religious faiths and beliefs and conclusion that prevails in the whole of human society, we will find that most of them, majority of them, is personality oriented. Let me start from the beginning. The words of Abraham and Moses and the wisdom that emanated from Moses, having been commanded by the divine, the 10 Commandments of Moses, rotates around the personality and teaching of Moses, but Moses is behind the wisdom, the 5 jewels of Moses' wisdom, known as books of wisdom, emanating the concept of Torah, is the wisdom of the divine, has been left behind. That is an eternal treasure for human society. Christianity rotates around the personality and the teaching of Jesus the Christ. Buddhism rotates around, exists around the personality and teaching of the person known as Buddha. Though he was an enlightened soul, he was in communion with the essence of the universe, Bodhi, at par with Torah. Muhammad was inspired by the voice of God. Whatever he said, however he laid a code of conduct, rotates around his personality, and that has given rise to Islam. We find everywhere they are the source of spiritual wisdom, at the same time a pathfinder towards spirituality. And each one has contributed. And the contribution has come from something above, beyond personality, without name, without form, without any qualities, without any attributes or utilitarian value, the abstract essence of divine wisdom. That is the source of the world of religious experiences the world over. But what has happened in practice is those personalities have been deified and the religion goes in their name and within the parameter of their teaching, nothing beyond. Christianity, Islam, and etc., 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 you will find there a distinct area, parameter, a boundary, within which they move, not without. In Hindu spiritual culture, we find it is totally impersonal. The wisdom acquired by them takes place and those personalities disappear in point of time. But the wisdom that you have acquired has been left behind for posterity. So, according to such an analysis, it is said that the concept of dharma in this world is either personalized or impersonal. Paurusheya and apaurushaya. Paurusha is rotating around a personality. India, through millenniums together, have produced scores and scores and scores of saints and seers. Over and above that, India has been blessed by the frequent arrival of incarnation of the divine to reinforce and rehabilitate the lost values of spiritual wisdom. Swami here speaks from that standpoint. He had, by that time, though he was in his early 30s, but by that time, by his own hard labor, his intense urge to know and to experience, and ultimately by the grace of his matchless master, Sri Ramakrishna, he was the knower, the experience of truth. When he uttered the addressing word, brothers and sisters of America, don't think he had a dramatic impact because of choice of his words. He spoke from his experience that the whole human society is one family, the family of the divine. That is, we are all children of the divine. Look at him as the father of the universe. Look at her as mother of the universe. Is immaterial. We are all the children of the universe. And where did he get it from? Not from his brainwave or his oratory skills. He got it from the Upanishads, where it is said, Srinvanta Vishve Amritacha Putra. You are all children of the divine. Listen to me, my dear children of the divine, children of immortal bliss. I have been to that area where I have experienced that we are made of the same stuff, the Atman, the Brahman, the Spirit or the Holy Ghost or the Sunyam, call it by any name. So that first utterance, brothers and sisters of America, came from his own conviction. And that conviction had such a great impact on those thousands of people. Listening to them, they were just floored. They could not imagine that such an idea could exist in human society, that we are one and all the children of immortal bliss, the divine. That is how he starts. each and every word poured out of his heart, duly backed, supported, authenticated by the spiritual wisdom of India's spiritual culture. And first, he explains that culture with historical background, supporting his statements with historical events. That is, he had that masterful capacity to blend the eternal ideas of spiritual wisdom appertaining to India. The Aryavarta, the Bharatvarsha. He had the capacity to express those ideas in a language that the simplest of the simple person could understand. That was the excellence of his speech. And what did he say, as you just now heard? That look, India has always been the refuge, place of shelter for all persecuted people under the sun since the dawn of history. And he quotes how the Jews migrated from their homeland and found a safe harbor in India. How the Parsis, everywhere, we have all the Indian culture, had all been extended wide open arms, given shelter to the persecuted people around the globe. And that is why India grew, attracted such travelers like Megasthenes, Fayan, and etc. They wanted to come and see what is that basic culture which gives people a feeling of finding out a shelter and a second home. What is it based upon? Based upon, Swami says in the next statement, that we in India, we don't believe in tolerance. We have outgrown that stage of tolerance. We are in the domain of acceptance with wide open arms. What does it mean? It means that the tradition of India, right from the Vedic days, the tradition of India was built upon the experiences of innumerable souls who wanted to experience the reality behind this apparent world, the truth behind this existence, the unity behind this diversity. And as he quotes from the Upanishads again, just like rivers emanating from glaciers all over the Himalayan perennial slope, they emanate from various sources, but they intermingle together, and the ultimate goal is the ocean. Though their point of origin is different, but their destination is one. All human thought processes generate in different corners of geographical world. But the effort is to reach that level of awareness where there is nothing but joy and ecstasy, peace and tranquility. This is in India's blood, as it were, in India's gene, as it were. We know that there is an eternal reality behind this apparent diversity. And the diversity does not have a total hold on me. It indicates my direction to find out unity in diversity. And that is what Swami says. So what happens is, being an enlightened person, having mastered the art of forbearance, if you differ with me, I put myself at a higher pedestal and I accept you, I tolerate your views. That smacks of egocentricity, that smacks of egoism, pride and vanity. I condescend to tolerate you. That is, you are inferior to me. I am at a higher pedestal. That is not India's spiritual culture. India says, the Indian spiritual culture says, each one under the sun has a right to have his or her own opinion. That does not give the other any right to disrespect the dignity of that person. We have right to differ, but we have no right to disrespect. Why? Whom are you disrespecting? Yourself, who is contained in this body, who is contained in that body. Where is the question of disrespect? Does arise? It doesn't arise. It arises from your ego, which has separated from the mainstream, that the whole universe is nothing else but the manifestation of the same divine. This is India's spiritual culture, which was unfortunately at one point of time was diminishing because of the impact of a foreign culture, because of prolonged political domination. Swami Vivekananda inherited the true wisdom from his matchless master Ramakrishna, whose advent in this world was because of to establish the veracity of the long lost spiritual wisdom of India. So, the concept of tolerance had no place in our scheme of thinking. It is acceptance. You have every right to find your way to that reality which may be diagonically opposite to mine. And when Swami Vivekananda, by way of elaboration, though it does not need, but even then, to satisfy our intellectual hunger, I'll give you an illustration, an incident in fact of life between the master and the student, Swami Vivekananda and Sister Nivedita. When Swamiji was trying to dig into her the concept of oneness of the universe, how to develop that dimension, additional dimension in your capacity to think. the dimension of oneness of the universe. The name disappears, the form disappears, the qualities disappear, the attributes disappear, the utilitarian value disappears. But the essence of existence, isness, satta remains. And Sister Nivedita, with her Western background, was unable to comprehend. But she was very, very, very keen to understand. So she, with great humility, tells her master, "Sir, it goes beyond my comprehension. How I can even imagine the concept of oneness of the universe." The sense of diversity had such a hold on her that she could not outgrow that hold. So she honestly said, "I can't comprehend, sir, your concept of oneness of the Spirit, oneness of the Holy Ghost, oneness of Atman, oneness of Brahman. I, sir, do not understand. Can you make it clear to me?" Immediately, Swamiji explains, and it applies to all of us who are interested to extend our dimension of thinking so that we can focus on our attention and intelligence beyond the parameters of these four boundaries, four walls, as it were. Name and form, qualities, utilitarian value. Swamiji said, "Sister, you are a teacher. You know what a circle is? A circle has three components: the center, the radius, and the circumference. Now, you, that first person singular number of English grammar, I, that I, devoid of identity with this body-mind complex, that I is the truth, the essence of existence, Satta of Satchidananda Swarupa Atma. Sister, conceive yourself as the center of the circle and extend your imagination as a radius to infinite dimension. Let the radius elongate itself, lengthen itself to infinite. At that point, you draw circumference. You have covered everything. Now, I ask you to draw a diameter. A diameter from any point of the circle has to go through the center. Otherwise, it's not a diameter. Now, you are the center because the faculty of understanding is a product of this body-mind. With that faculty of understanding, stretch your understanding to infinite extent, encompassing all and everything. That is, the limited concept of space has left you. Then draw a circumference. From that circumference, draw a diameter which passes through you from that extreme point to a diagonally opposite extreme point. They are connected by the circumference within that, and you are the center. This is what the concept of the origin of point of acceptance, within that is everything within me. I am the subtle, I am the circumference, I am the infinite radius, and I am the center, because the faculty is within this small machine. That faculty, which is now under limitation, that faculty goes beyond limitation. Everything is the divine. And he has seen with his own eyes his master going through such experiences, when he used to say, I'll quote to you in Bengali and then translate it, because there's a charm in the way Sridharananda used to use colloquial Bengali dialect. He used to say, তোদের কি করে বোঝাই, এমন দিনও গেছে যেখানে নজর পড়ে সেখানে ব্রহ্ম উঁকি ঝুঁকি পাচ্ছে। How could I explain to you, my dear children? I'm translating it for you. How could I explain to you, my dear children, the days that I have gone through, the days of spiritual ecstasy? Wherever and wherever my eyes fell, I could see just like a child, a peeping Tom, looking from there, hiding himself, looking from there, hiding himself. That's just how children play. Brahma used to look out in between the four walls of the container. He used to manifest himself and cover himself back again. And that was a game of hide and seek between me and Brahma. Swami Vivekananda has seen it himself with his gross eyes. You can very well imagine what the impact that was in him. How his personality was transformed because of that impact. With that experience he spoke. Every word that he uttered was authenticated, was backed up by each and experience of his own education, that is material, mundane education, blended with Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual experience. So no wonder the world shook to its foundation to expose to such man-making, character-building, brilliant spiritual ideas. Otherwise, before Ramakrishna Vivekananda era, every stupid superstition sold in the name of spirituality, as it is even today. Now the subject matter that Swamiji has chosen for us is, what impact does it have on the world? I will quote a statement from Swamiji, and I think that will be enough of an answer. At the prime age of his preaching and teaching, before he thought it is enough and call it a day, once he uttered a prophetic word. What was that? It may be required for me to cast off this body, because he felt his faculties are being contained by regionalism, nationalism, at the same time the limitations of a human frame. He was branded as an Indian, branded as a Bengali. He thought this bondage is hampering my capacity and ability to speak to the whole world. So it may be required, he said, to cast off this body, so that in spirit I can live for ages and ages together, so that I can preach to each and every human under the sun, till all of them realize they are one with God. That was the purpose for which Sri Ramakrishna said, your personal liberation will be under lock and key, under the care of the Divine Mother, till you have fulfilled her command. So we can very well infer that her command was, I am a voice without a body. That is what he said. I am a voice without a body. That means I will speak to each and every who is receptive, who is prepared to accept, in a voice which is understandable, not limited by human restrictions of race, caste, creed and nationality. I will be a voice without a form. So he still today wants. In which manner? The more you expose yourself to his ideas, he fills you up with these man-making, character-building, noble ideas. And it is not an endless journey in circles. It is a straightforward journey from where you are to your goal to identify oneness with the universe. That is what Indian scriptures teaches you. That I outgrow the limitations of humanness, and without sacrificing the human divine qualities, I know my true nature as one with God. He warned also the human society that what havoc this bigotry and prejudice and fanaticism has played in human society. Without that, the world would have been a better place to live in. And he was born and he died with this purpose in mind, that the world should be made a place worth living, where the brotherhood of man, instead of being spoken of in the books, will be inscribed in the hearts of each and every soul through the concept of the true spirit of religion and spirituality. So, dear brothers, let me conclude. The authority with which he spoke. As I told you the other day, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Ore nore lokashikha dive. Oh dears, listen to me. Naren will be a teacher of mankind. That is why he brought him along. And you probably know the description of how Sri Ramakrishna appealed to that personality who to us is known as Narendranath or Swami Vivekananda, how he appealed to him, seeking his assistance to come and stand by him and help him. He went to the area of awareness, much beyond the gods and goddesses, much beyond the Mukta Purushas, in that domain where 7 rishis are eternally on meditation for the welfare of the whole cosmos. And there, like a child, he goes and picks up the most mature and ancient of them, sits on his lap, wraps his hand around the neck of that rishi, tries to wake him up from eternal samadhi with the appeal, I am going, would you come to help me? And the Rishi, out of compassion, opened his eyes and gave a nod of assent. And he said, I now know knowledge is that Rishi. So, don't think that Swami Vivekananda's contribution to the betterment of human society ended with the end of his physical existence. He is still working, still living, throbbing, vibrating presence. And if you could train your capacity of absorption, assimilation, you will be in contact directly with his vibes. He will be responsible to you to make you an instrument of his hands. If we can, who swear by his name, we swear our loyalties to him, we treat him as an incarnation of the present age, it will be fitting to us to think of him and build our characters according to his will and his desire. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you ever so much.